Good day, people. So this is an update to the story. And for those who don't know, this serves as a good story to really show how affordable housing is going right out the window here in Nova Scotia. So let's quickly recap. This here is Ocean Breeze Village. It has 40 residential buildings with about 397 homes. And it was bought by Universal Group back in 2022. Now, from the information I can find, this village, along with its infrastructure, was built back in the 1950s and 1960s. So like much of the Nova Scotia housing stock, it's relatively old. Like much of our rental stock, there's a high chance that the infrastructure and many of its buildings are not up to code because, well, this province lacks any enforcement to make sure property owners keep their properties up to code. But I digress. At the time of this article in 2023, there was 1,000 people living in this Ocean Breeze village. It was relatively affordable at the time of the housing market. One tenant who lived there up to 2017 was paying a little over $1,000 a month, including electricity, for 3 bedrooms. Mind you, now in Halifax, if you want to have a 3-bedroom, you're paying nearly $2,900 for that. It shows you how much the housing market has blown up since then, huh? But getting back to this story, within the first year the new property owners buying this land, they put out a notice warning the over 1,000 people who live there that they may potentially lose their home due to redevelopment or be moved into available units that only became available due to people moving out. This is all part of the 3-phase redevelopment plan. You can pause to read if you want a breakdown of what they were promising back in 2023. Mind you, these phases have changed since then. Now coming into present day, the property owner has now given out a letter to 143 units telling them they're going to be evicted because of redevelopment. Mind you, some of these units actually just have families move into them because the prior owners moved out due to all what's going on, and this new family moved in because their old homes were being demolished. Now they're being forced to move out again. They blame most of this on the aging infrastructure and it needing to be replaced. But don't worry, that decision was not made lightly to have all these people evicted. Right. This village was not perfect. It was very old like much of the housing stock in Nova Scotia, but it was affordable. And people had their own backyards and beautiful nature around them to really enjoy their place. But now, this new property owner plans to demolish all of that and put up multi-unit buildings, just taking away the beauty of it all, and most likely going to be charging almost triple the price these people were paying for these units. And I wish I wasn't saying this with such confidence, because the mentality of property owners here in Nova Scotia, if they're not charging you this, it's unfair to them, and they want to jack up your rent so they can charge you this. The question is, what can be done to protect the people who are just trying to survive and live in Nova Scotia? Sadly, not much. I say this with confidence that Tim Houston and his conservative government does not have the backs of people who are just trying to survive and cling onto what little affordable housing we have left here in this province. The whole 5% rent cap is now tossed out the window because if landlords want to jack up the costs, all they gotta do is find a reason to kick out a person and then charge whatever they want for the new tenant. Now that we're in a federal election, you guys need to go out there and ask the people who are trying to earn your vote how they're going to prevent situations like this from happening. How they're going to stop tenants from losing their homes to either corporate greed or from their homes being deemed unlivable because of how old they are. So the tenant is the one being punished, made homeless because their place is now being redeveloped, upgraded, and then rented out for triple the price that was prior. This is what's adding to our on-house population. But like always, I'm very curious to know what are your thoughts about all this in the comments down below.